I'm Tim, welcome to the Restoration Couple. In today's video, we'll be decking out the roof with the OSB ready for our flat roof, so stick around and I'll show you how we got on. So we've bunged a load up on the roof just to give us a head start, and then Dad will slide them across so I can fix them in. Then what we're going to fix them down with is ring shank nails for the majority of the boards, just for speed, effectiveness, and they're strong enough. I mean, if you try and pull one of these out anyway, you'll realise they're perfectly adequate. They'll be done all the way around, and then what I'm going to do, just for belts and braces, just to keep everyone happy, around the outside perimeter of the roof, then we'll screw those ones. Just the best of both worlds. Massive change of plan. So what would have been a really simple job, everything's at 400 sensors, intentionally ordered 2.4 meter long OSB, and it's been labelled wrong. It's actually 8-foot boards, so all of the sensors are off. Nothing's going to match up. All the short ends need to be supported, but they're not going to work. So I'm now having to put additional timbers and noggings in to support all the short edges, which just slows it down a bit, but we're cracking on. So as you might be able to spot, I have not yet put in my centre span noggins, the blocking that will go down the middle between the joists, and nor have I put the fascia boards on. So this is completely backwards as usual. Unfortunately, Dad only had this day to give me a hand, and the two-person job priority was to get the roof itself covered. Our centres are bang on where they meet the plates either side, so I'm just hoping that they're not going to fluctuate too much by the time we get to the centre span. Now at this point I'm already regretting the fact I didn't put in those centre blockings between the joists, because I could just tell that these joists were never going to be perfectly straight. It means that when we come to do the insulation, that it's not going to be as straightforward. We might have to scribe them, the boards, to fit in there. So not ideal, not ideal. And there we go, another day where not really much went to plan, but we got the job done. I'll be finishing off that strip on the end there and getting the fascias done and the noggins done, but it was time to get some DPM down just to keep everything covered and dry, because no doubt there'll be a couple of days between now and when we get round to laying that EPDM rubber roof. Well, it's beginning to feel a little bit more like a building. It's a bit darker than it was. Now we've got a roof, but that was to be expected. Now I'm about 98% there, so I've got a strip about 100mm left at the front edge of the building, which I'll rip the boards down before I get them up there. And the reason for that strip, everything would have been so hunky-dory if I'd got what I ordered, which was 2400 by 1200, which is metric boards like most other sheet goods. And a lot of the other OSB came in Imperial 8x4, and I intentionally stayed clear because that's 1220 by 2440. Because of course they don't hit your sensors. If you've got all your sensors at 400 or even 600, then it's just an absolute pain, and especially if you're using tongue and groove boards like these are, because ideally your short end needs to finish on a joist or on a rafter, and because they were the wrong size, they didn't on all, not maybe a half of them, maybe 60% or so hit, the others didn't, so they were a little bit off each joist, and that kind of incrementally gets worse. And I can just about get away with it. It means I'm going to put some blocking, some additional timbers on the side of the joist to support it. Now, it's not really a flaw. I'm pretty sure it could be absolutely fine as it is, because all the tongue and groove is kind of self-supporting. But just for belts and braces, as always, I'll put some additional timbers on the side just to support those joints. Here's an example of where it's just fallen off the joist. Not sure if you can make that out. That clearly says 2.4 by 600, and they clearly aren't. Anyway, that's enough of the moaning. What we have got is a nice solid deck up here, ready for the EPDM to go straight down onto. It needs a little bit of a sweep down, and I also need to, when I've got a bit more light, is to snap some lines front to back on top of each of the joist sensors. And of course, Dad being Dad, we had to do a little bit of finessing to smooth everything out, so it really was as smooth as possible, ready for the roof covering. So thank you for watching. We're getting there. This guy has been a major sidekick in the operation so far. I'm not really a tool review type guy, but I will give you a bit of a real world feedback, let's say, on this in a couple of weeks, once I've really kind of put it through its paces. But it's certainly speeding things up. Working on my own over this sort of expanse of materials, it's probably, you know, saving me half the time than if I was going along with screws, putting them in, even with the impact driver. So it's got my vote of confidence so far. Anyway, thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.